Let's pull back the curtain on a piece of internet magic you use hundreds of times a day, probably without even realizing it. It's called DNS, and honestly, it's the system that makes the internet usable for us humans. So let's dive right in. I mean, it feels completely instant, right? You type in a name and poof, a website appears. But behind that seemingly simple action is this incredible high-speed game of telephone happening across the entire globe. And we're going to follow that journey, step by step. And here is the fundamental problem that needs to be solved. You see, we're good with names, right? Things like Google.com. But computers, they really only speak in numbers, these long, clunky strings called IP addresses. So the big question is, how does the internet bridge that gap between us and them?
Well, it all boils down to this amazing system that acts as the internet's universal phone book, constantly translating the names we remember into the numbers computers need.
That system is called the Domain Name System, or DNS. Its entire job is to be that super fast translator. You give it a name, it hands you back the right number, and then your browser knows exactly which computer out of billions it needs to talk to. It's that simple, but it is absolutely essential. Just try to imagine for a second having to memorize dozens of those IP addresses just for your favorite websites. It'd be a total nightmare. The internet as we know it just wouldn't work. DNS does all that heavy lifting so we don't have to.
Okay, so let's actually follow a single request and see how this translation happens. We're going to trace its incredible path from the moment you hit enter all the way to its final destination.
So this journey happens in 4 lightning-fast steps, and the best way to think about it is like a librarian on a mission. Your browser's request first hits a librarian. That's the recursive resolver. Now, this librarian doesn't know where the answer is, so it first asks the main index, the root server, which points it to the right aisle, like the .com section. From there, another server narrows it down to the right shelf. And finally, our librarian finds the one server that holds the definitive answer, the IP address, and brings that information all the way back to your browser.
So what is our librarian actually looking for? What's at the end of this whole chase? Well, you can think of it less like a book and more like a set of simple instructions, kind of like sticky notes attached to every single domain name.
These are called DNS records. They're the actual instructions that are stored on that final authoritative server, and they are the crucial piece of the puzzle, telling the internet not just where a website is located, but also how to handle other important things, like email.
And, just like sticky notes can have different kinds of messages on them, DNS records come in a few key types, and each one has a very specific job to do. Let's get to know the most important ones. First up, the big one, the most fundamental record of them all, the A record. A stands for address. Its job is super simple: connect a domain name directly to an IP address. This is the record that makes browsing the web possible.
So whenever you see an A record, you can just think of it as answering this one simple question. It's the primary signpost pointing to your website's home on the internet. Next is the C name, or canonical name record. Now this one's a little different. Instead of pointing a name to a number, it points a name to another name. It's basically just an alias. This is exactly why you can type www.site.com and it still works. That www part is just a C name pointing back to the main site.com domain.
Yep, that's really all it is. Think of it this way. A C name is the internet's version of saying see also. It's a redirect for names, not a direct link to a number. All right, moving on, we have the MX, or mail exchanger record. This one has nothing to do with your website, but it has everything to do with your email. It tells all the email systems in the world exactly which servers are supposed to get the mail for your domain.
And without a properly set MX record, your email just wouldn't show up. It would be lost in the void. It's the official postal address for your domain's digital mailbox. And finally, we have the incredibly useful TXT, or text record. This is like the Swiss Army knife of DNS. It's a general-purpose record that can hold any text you want. Its most common job these days is for security and verification, proving to services like Gmail that you actually own your domain and have permission to send emails from it.
In short, TXT records are like a digital handshake. They help prevent spam and prove your identity online, which is hugely important.
Okay, I know that was a lot of acronyms, so here's a quick cheat sheet. A is for address, the website's location. C name is for canonical name, which is just an alias. MX is for mail exchanger, directing your email. And TXT is for the text used in those security handshakes. Easy enough, right?
So why have we gone through all this technical stuff?
Because understanding this isn't just theory, it's the key to seeing how websites and email are actually set up and managed in the real world.
First, you have to know about a concept called propagation. See, when you change a DNS record, say you move your website to a new server, that change isn't instant. It has to ripple out and update across that huge global network of servers. This is why sometimes a website change might take a few hours before everyone sees it.
And here's where it all comes together. Let's say you just bought mycoolsite.com. The very first thing you do is set the A record to your web server's IP address. That's what brings your site online. Then you'll add a C name so www works too. For your email, you'll point your MX records to your provider, like Google or Outlook. And finally, you'll add those TXT records to prove you own it and keep your emails out of the spam folder.
And boom, just like that, with a few simple text files, a few digital sticky notes, you have a complete professional online presence. That's the real power of DNS in action. It's the quiet, foundational system that literally organizes the entire internet for us.
So the next time you type in a web address, you'll know about the incredible, high-speed journey that happens in the blink of an eye. You now understand the internet's phone book, but that leads to another really interesting question. If it's just a phone book, what stops someone from scribbling in a fake address and sending you somewhere dangerous? Well, that's a whole other story.